From a car that makes children disappear to another that causes death to everyone who goes near it, we take a look at 5 of the most haunted cars ever. Number 5. The Jumping Car of Cape Town. It's always a bad sign when your car starts moving on its own. A Cape Town, South African family and their guest found this out the hard way when they woke up to a loud crash in the middle of the night. Hurrying outside, they found the guest's Renault was jerkily jumping around the yard, eventually breaking a sturdy fence before coming to a stop. Initially, they thought that someone had tried to steal the car, yet no driver could be found. The perimeter of their yard had not been breached, the car was locked, and its windows were intact. Even the handbrake was still on. The car had been moving by itself. When the police arrived, they wouldn't believe a word of the story. That is, until the car ignited itself right in front of the officers. The Renault roared to life and started jumping backwards until a hibiscus tree stopped it. After investigating, the Renault offered the explanation that the events were caused by a rusty starter cable. However, they could not explain the roaring sounds the car supposedly made. Number 4. The Cursed Car of Franz Ferdinand. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was the final straw in the long-building tension between various European nations and marked the beginning of World War I. According to legend, the car, a 1910 Graf-and-Stift double Phaeton, itself was so shocked by the events that every single subsequent owner met a violent fate. During the following 12 years, Franz Ferdinand's car saw 15 different owners. During the same time, it was involved in several accidents that led to 13 deaths. One owner, an Austrian general, became insane and died in an asylum. Another, a captain, fatally ran into 2 peasants and a tree only 9 days after purchasing the car. Yet another owner committed suicide. And it gets worse. The governor of Yugoslavia had 4 separate accidents during his possession of the vehicle, one of which cost him an arm. Number 3. The Black Volga. Nobody knew who drove the Black Volga. Some said it was priests. Some said nuns. Some swore it was Satan worshippers. Some even claimed the devil himself was behind the steering wheel. The Black Volga was a Volga limousine with white rims and curtains that came out of nowhere. Sometimes, its rearview mirrors were actually horns. It abducted children and killed anyone who approached it, sometimes instantly. Sometimes the victim would mysteriously drop dead exactly 24 hours later. No one knew why it took the children. The myth of the Black Volga was widely spread throughout the vast areas of Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, Poland, and Mongolia, although there is no hard evidence to support the story. Number 2. John F. Kennedy's Limousine SS-100X. This car is said to be haunted by a former president, but it might as well have the specter of Franz Ferdinand hanging around with a sign reading, "History repeats itself." The SS-100X was the Secret Service name given to President John F. Kennedy's navy blue 1961 Lincoln 74A convertible. It was in this Lincoln that Kennedy, First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy, the Texas governor, and his wife sat in on November 22, 1963, when 3 shots fired from a book depository ended the president's life. Surprisingly, the Lincoln was kept in service another 8 years after Kennedy's death. A company called Hess and Eisenhardt added reinforcements and safety measures that were missing when Kennedy rode in the car, apparently, much to the displeasure of the president's ghost. In 1967, the presidential limo was replaced, but the 1961 Lincoln was kept in the fleet for less important duties, until it retired to the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan in 1978. The car is still on display there and is rumored to be haunted. An apparition dressed in gray has been seen standing near the car, especially in late November. Number 1. James Dean's Porsche Spyder. James Dean always had that daydream look in his eyes. He never went out of style, and he was a handsome, talented actor whose promising future was tragically cut short when he died at the peak of his youth. Dean's untimely demise was caused by a traffic accident. He fatally crashed his Porsche 550 Spyder. The remains of the car was purchased by George Barris, the car customizer whose shop would later build the Batmobile for the 1960s TV series and a number of other famous popular culture vehicles. In his possession, the restored Porsche now divided in two, a Lotus Husk powered by the Porsche's restored engine, and the totaled remains of the actual Porsche soon gained a frightening reputation. It was involved in a number of mysterious accidents, at least one of them fatal. Not all of the mysterious situations surrounding the car were on the street or the racetrack either. Once it caught fire in a storage garage. Another time, it mysteriously disappeared. There's one more eerie fact that surrounds Dean's death. His fatal crash was supposedly predicted by fellow actor Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original Star Wars trilogy. According to legend, Dean asked Guinness what he thought of the vehicle. Guinness responded with, "If you get in that Porsche, you will be dead next week." Dean died exactly 7 days later.